Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Mafex Amazing Spider-Man Black Costume. Black Suit Spider-Man, and Black Suit Spider-Man is one of my favorite things ever, just because I think it's because I had some figures of him as a kid and I just really liked those, but obviously it's a cool look for Spider-Man nonetheless, so I'm very happy to have this figure. As a collector, as a fan, I'm very pleased with it. As a reviewer, it's kind of middling. There's some nice things about it for sure, and then there's some things that aren't so great, and we're going to talk about all of that. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 6 1/8 inches tall, which makes him pretty close to, I don't know, 15.8 centimeters. So 15 centimeters, 8 millimeters, for those of you who want to get all fancy. Here he is up against Darwin. He's a little bit shorter, but Darwin's into that, so that's okay. And I think that's close enough for scaling purposes. Here he is up against a fully transparent Rival Clans figure, which is in the prototype stage. And I think the scaling is fine. Let's go ahead and do a question of the day. Do you intermix foreign and domestic figures? Would you buy a Spider-Man like this to mix with Marvel Legends? I'm guessing most of you will, but I'm wondering if any of you just won't, because there's such a stark difference in what you have there. For instance, the domestics, which cost way more, although not as much more these days, are generally a lot nicer than, say, Marvel Legends. So I'm wondering if there's anybody who just won't. You gotta keep them separated is what I'm getting at. Is that what some people think? Okay, so I gotta get this out of the way first. He has baby blue feet, or Carolina blue feet, or whatever kind of blue you want to call them. As far as I know, and I hope somebody can correct me, and I hope this is meant to be this way and it's right, and it's not just like a blue stripes on Wolverine sort of situation. As far as I know, and as far as I could tell by doing a little extra research from what I already knew, he doesn't ever have feet like this. He has blue shading sometimes, and on the one cover, you can see very bright blue feet, but that is to show that they are feet and not just blobs at the end of his legs. And the shading matches the rest of the body. This guy does not have bright blue shading on him. He has very dark blue shading, and so the feet should not be bright blue. I'm almost positive, but you never know. So if anybody can correct me on that, please do. But I could not find a single instance where he is supposed to have actually blue soles of his feet. It's just that one cover, and I'll post that in the video so you can see. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. Otherwise, he's solid black plastic with blue shading. Very, very dark blue shading, the kind you might see on Venom. It's okay on this guy. I wouldn't have minded if they went a little bit harsher with the shading, but I'm suspecting that they're going to be re-releasing this just like they did the regular Spider-Man in 3 different color schemes. I'm guessing this guy's going to get a reissue also, which is fine, because this look is okay. The dark blue shading is alright. I know it's kind of hard to see because of the harsh lighting, and you see a lot of the white reflecting on the black, but I have to have it like that so that you can actually see what I'm reviewing instead of it just being a black blob. But yeah, the blue shading's nice. There's not anywhere near enough in the torso. There's a little bit like on the ribs, so it looks a little strange. On the head, it's only very faintly on the top of the head. If you can even see that, I don't know. It's very, very faint. So yeah, I would have definitely preferred some more shading. As far as the white goes on the hands, it's alright. No problems there. The eyes, I think, are done really well. I mean, I don't think that they are done really well, and I think it looks pretty good. He does have a bit of an anime look to him in terms of proportioning, in terms of head shape. Doesn't quite look like, where'd it go? I can never grab the boxes when I need them. It doesn't quite look like that, the comic art. Do we have any more on the back? We don't. So, you know, it is what it is. That's the same for the other Spider-Man figure they released, the other classic spider suit, or red and blue suit Spider-Man. I'm okay with that, and they did do some updates, which I do like. So, you know, we have some issues in terms of the aesthetic, but generally it's a pleasing figure. It does have overall pretty good proportioning. I think that's alright. Maybe the lower legs are just a bit long, but it's not bad. It looks pretty good. It gets a little weird, kind of jumbly in here with this butterfly joint and the way they did the neck. His traps kind of don't exist. So it looks like his head is sitting low, and it kind of is, but also kind of is. It's just kind of weird due to the articulation, but I think it's passable. The only real downside I have, other than the blue feet, the only real knock I can give this thing is the spider logo is not painted well. At least on mine, it's rough, really, really rough. Especially over here where the mold line is, but it's not great, and then mine actually isn't assembled properly. There's a big gap right there, so that's super annoying. But yeah, the spider logo, even though it's sculpted, and painted. It's not painted very well, so that's disappointing. Probably not super noticeable while you're posing him because his chest most likely will have arms in front of it, but it is worth noting that the paint job, as usual, is not super crispy from Mafex, but it does have a generally good aesthetic. I like it mostly. These butterfly joints are definitely weird though, so that kind of sucks, but I'm going to give it an overall rating for the aesthetic of 7 out of 10. It's a very, very basic design. They should not have screwed up. There's two things you can't screw up on a Spider-Man figure: the logo and the eyes. They got half of that. So the logo being painted very poorly is not good. Now, as far as accessories go, they did give you plenty. He has the normal head that you can see on him in the package. Then we have more of an angry look. I like that. And then we have the unmasked head, which is very nicely done. Again, very anime-esque, but it's painted very well. I love the way they did the eyes, and we have a little bit of that symbiote coming up on the neck. That all looks very, very nice. For hands, we have the relaxed hands that come out in the package. Then we get some fist hands, some grip hands, some thwip hands, some kind of wall crawl / open hands, some magnetic wall crawl / open hands, and then some magnetic feet. And that's very cool. The magnetic hands and feet, very nice touch, except almost nothing is made out of steel these days. Almost everything is aluminum. Or aluminium if you're in the UK. And so there's not a whole lot he can stick to unless you're trying to put magnets places for him to stick to. So that's just kind of strange, but that's okay. Doesn't hurt. We do get his web backpack, which is okay. It's just solid plastic. There's no paint or anything to bring it to life, so it's just kind of blah. We get a variety of thwips, short ones, long ones, swinging ones. Pretty much whatever you want to do, you're good. And then we get his acrylic display stand with the articulated arm, and you get a straight upright. I think that's a straight upright. I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to use that straight piece, but you get a few different clips and some interchangeability parts for the clips. So yeah, you should be covered. I think it's fine. You might want to tighten the screws on that though if you're using the articulated arm. So that's a pretty good spread of accessories. I can't really think of anything else I would like other than maybe like a web thwip that looks like it's hitting someone, but that's not a huge deal. So I'll go 9 out of 10. I think that's a perfectly good spread of accessories. Okay, time for the articulation. Oh, by the way, you might be wondering why I haven't compared this to that piece of crap Marvel Legends Black Suit Spider-Man on that old retro body, and it's because I can't find it. I don't have any idea where it went. It's somewhere amongst my piles and piles and piles of Marvel Legends, but I cannot find it, and it doesn't matter because they're not really interchangeable because that figure sucks. Anyway, okay, so, plus Darwin is perfectly good as a stand-in. Okay. If you want to see that review, though, it'll be up there. So we have, for the head, a double ball peg, which is a good thing, except the balls are a little small compared to the peg. You kind of want a bigger ball to peg ratio, but this will do. The thing I don't care for is the bent peg. The bent pegs allow for the head to go farther in the direction of the bend, and that's okay, but it does prevent it from going as far in the opposite direction. So if it's up to me, make a bigger ball and make it a straight peg, and it works much better. How does it work on this figure, you're probably wondering. Let's find out. He can look up nicely, and looking down forward, he can't go any farther than that. I mean, that's the neck moving. Because of that bent peg, he can't actually look down on the neck. Of course, side to side should be pretty much unchanged, and of course your rotation is there, and then the neck being on a ball peg does help. So ultimately it's fine, but you could do much better without having a bent peg and with having bigger balls. Basically, bigger balls are always better. That's what I've been saying anyway. Alright, so our butterfly joint, it moves around like a standard ball pegged butterfly joint, but it also has a little bit of extra range going down this way, which is alright, and that's how you can get his arms down to the side. Truly down to the side. But then it gets real lumpy and bubbly, and we don't like that. That doesn't look good. So it's not the best looking butterfly joint ever. Does it help much going across the chest? Only when you go really up high on the chest. Going straight across the pecs, you can't really do it, so you have to go up by the chin. And then it works out okay, and it's not ugly in that area, but it's not as refined as I would have hoped. They don't go back very far. And they gave him really, really big lats, and they're kind of flat and weird. So they get in the way a little bit, but you should, as you can see, you can get some nuance posing out of it, bring one arm forward, one arm back kind of thing, and it'll look okay. It's not the best thing we've ever seen, but it's definitely going to be okay. For the shoulder, you can get it all the way up, no problem. That is fine. Full rotation that way, that's fine. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, everything works normally. Ball hinge wrist, that's all good. On this guy's torso, it's a very basic double ball peg. And it looks okay from the front when you line up the spider logo. Nothing you can do about that. Leaning it back, though, It has, let me put the abdomen straight. It has decent enough range. A little bit of gapping, nothing you can really do. You can hide that. I think they could have probably done a little better, but that's pretty good. I'll take that. And when you use the lower torso also, you get just a little bit more, and that's pretty darn good. I think that's fine. I'll take it. Going forward, he doesn't have very much range up here going forward. Let's actually do one at a time. That's as far as he can lean forward, which isn't far. So you have to do it down here at the lower torso, which does help, but obviously that's not ideal. I don't know why it became a trend for the upper diaphragm joint to not allow forward leaning on almost any line of figures these days. It's super weird. It can be done so easily. Stick around for the video on these guys because I'm going to show you how torso articulation can work quite simply. For the leaning to the side, that's how much you get out of the lower, and out of the upper, it goes all the way. So yeah, leaning to the side is good, no problems there. That's how you do that. It's just weird that the forward leaning is so limited. For the hips, they are on hinged ball pegs. The hinge is super tight, and that's better than not being tight, but it shouldn't be there at all. I will never agree that a humanoid, like very human looking figure should have hinged ball pegs. They just don't work well. You can do the same thing without them. Going out to the side, we have almost the full-on splits, so that's okay, and the hinges don't have any impact on sideways motion, so we're not going to test that. And then going forward with the hinge down, you get that much range, but it dislocates the hip big time, so that's really not ideal. And let's see how it... Oh, this guy's legs pop off a lot. I think that happened on the other Spider-Man too. It's not like they're breaking or anything, so it's not a huge deal, but it's annoying. And then his diaper is soft-ish. You can get the leg about that far forward with the hinge only engaging a little bit. So, I don't know, I think they could have just trimmed a little bit from the diaper and reworked that just a touch and not even bothered with the hinge. But it works well enough. You should be okay with it. Thigh swivel is minimal, but it's there. Double jointed knee works very nicely. I like that. It's a very natural knee. You can see how the lower leg is just a little bit too long. The shin and foot should be the same length as the whole thigh piece, and it's definitely too long. So that's a little bit out of proportion for your average human proportions. Most people don't have longer shins than thighs. It's not really a thing. Ankle range, okay, so it pops off really easily. I mean, that's good if you want to swap them out, but that pops off way too easily. There's no retention on this. It's just a straight peg, so that's not good. Decent range going back though. Going forward is fine. Ankle rocker, since it's a ball hinge, is perfect, so that's good. Toe hinge, very soft. It has like no resistance really at all, and it has only a little bit of range. I mean, I know people really want their toe hinge, but when it's this not good, it doesn't. You're better off without it because this is like asking for shelf dives and things. So that's a bit of a bummer. Does this one come off as easily? Yeah. That's not great. So his articulation is fine. It's certainly not impressive, especially for a Spider-Man figure. I think you could get a whole lot more going without it costing any more, because it's just a matter of designing it right the first time. You don't need more molds or anything. But it's not bad. So I'll give his articulation for a Spider-Man figure. I'll go 8. It's pretty good. It's not bad in any way. And it could be better in some. So it's, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so now it's time for the final verdict on such a simple figure. This ended up being a long video. There's a lot to talk about. I like it personally. I'm looking forward to when they do a repainted version with stronger shading and stuff where the feet make sense. Or I guess I should say highlighting. And it's not just slightly blued black around the edges, but it still looks really good and I like it a whole bunch. And I'm going to give it a final rating of 8 out of 10. The aesthetic problems, not really acceptable. The painting on the spider logo, that's just a huge no. Especially on such a plain figure where there's already almost no paint. That's a problem. And then a few things that I don't like about the articulation are annoying too, but it's still a solid release. So 8 out of 10 seems fair enough for me. You guys can let me know how you feel about the figure in the comment section below. And you can let me know how you feel about the video in the thumb up section below. You can give it a thumbs up. I would like it. And if you don't, that's okay. You can give it a thumbs down. If you want to share it, that'd be great. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos every single day but Wednesday, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.